at the same time.
Yeah, we're live.
We're live. All right.
We're live. It's Monday. It's a holiday today, right?
It is.
It
That's
is. It's a holiday today. I thought, well, this is a good day to just get on really quickly. It's a very windy but positively stormy day in Florida where I am. Where are you coming in from today, Angie?
I am just outside of Dallas, Texas. So it is absolutely gorgeous weather. It's very, very warm, but not so warm that you can't just stroll around outside. The sun's not beating down on you. Sometimes you got to come in for a break with that Texas sun.
Yeah.
So
So what have you been up? What have you been up to today? What have you been roaming around doing?
well, today's a great day because we're preparing for the launch of a new company, One Price Edit, and that's going to launch tomorrow. So I have been working on all of the promos and all that fun stuff because we're really super excited because there's so many great authors out there, and some of them are multiple book authors like yourself, and they don't want to shell out, you know, payments every time they get a book edited. They would like to just have an editor on staff on the ready. And so One Price Edit does that for folks. So that's really been a great dream of mine that is coming to fruition tomorrow. And I am so thankful for all your coaching and just good heavens. I would be 3 months behind, maybe even more, if you weren't there sort of holding my hand step by step. I'm supposed to be holding your hand. That's my role as your publisher, but this is a .com, and so I've needed you so desperately to make this company fly, and you've done an amazing job. So thank you. If I haven't said it already enough times.
Well, I'm just excited because I think the process of writing a book is not an easy task. I have people ask me all the time, and for the longest time, I still didn't call myself an author. I literally would be like, yeah, I have a few books. Like I just that. Now I'm like, no, I'm an author. Like own it. And you helped me bring that dream to life, right? Become a published award-winning author, not even just an author, an award-winning author.
A
And
titan, a literary titan. It's just no simple award. You are a literary titan, the gold star winner, the top prize. So
is that like prestigious? I don't know.
oh yeah, I mean it's relatively new to be frank, but it's a rigorous process, very rigorous. I mean some awards you just buy your way into, but this award is actually a reviewed. It's a book review process, and most books don't make it. They get thousands of submissions, and they pick like 90.
Oh wow. Well, that
Yeah,
just goes to tell you about the power of positivity, doesn't it?
yeah, absolutely, absolutely.
The power of positivity. What you think about comes about. You've been saying that this book is going to win awards. You've been saying that since before Christmas. You're like, this is going to be an award-winning book, and it's starting to happen, right? So the power of thinking is essential in our lives,
Yeah.
and the more people understand and know about this and learn the incurable positivity lifestyle and steps, I'm just excited to keep spreading that message. So what's happening this week? Why are we here? Why are we live today on a Monday, random afternoon go live? Like it wasn't a scheduled live. We were like, let's just jump on and have a chat with people and let people know what's happening in our world. What's happening, Angie?
Well, we're excited because, as most people know by now, we are the authors of Incurable Positivity, which came out in 2023. And almost instantly, people started asking about whether or not there would be a workbook, a journal, something to accompany the book to give them a chance to go deeper with the concepts and make them very personal and integrate them into their lives. And so April really, I mean, poured out her heart and soul, putting together a workbook and a journal. And I was joking with her on another live earlier about how we really unintentionally created a mastermind because she kicked it to me and I worked on it for a while, and then I kicked it back to her, and then she kicked it to her daughter, and I kicked it to my daughter. And before we knew it, like we had something that was so golden. I mean, it was just so beautifully done. And as someone who's not a big fan of workbooks because they seem like a lot of nothing, it's like write something on these lines, and it's like, whatever. I was just so wholly uninspired by every workbook I've ever seen. This workbook journal is another book. I call it Incurable Positivity too, because it's a book. It's so full of content, science, like all of the things that you need to be able to dig deep. And that's really what discovering what your thoughts truly are, being aware of them, and how to shift your thoughts to be working with you, not against you.
Oh, yeah, that's so good. It is a practice, right? Just like any practices you have in your life. And I think what I love about the fact that we had so many different people working on it around us in different age demographics, right?
Yeah.
It
Yeah.
really creates like a well-rounded kind of view, because Amber challenged quite a bit of things in there. She was like, well, actually, what about this? What about that? And like just her design.
So did Nikki. She's like, no, I'm with it.
Yeah, and like the design of it is really beautiful. So I'm really excited about that. But when you think about Incurable Positivity, the workbook in general, what's something that you think everybody's just gonna just love? Like what's something that you found really, really helpful, even diving into this work and doing more and building that practice that ended up in the workbook?
Yeah, when you first asked me this question, I immediately went to the daily logs, because I think that looking at your day is very important. If you want to learn from your past, you have to actually examine it. And
Yeah.
it's not enough to just think, oh, well, I'm going to remember. You're not going to remember. And so to take the time to be thoughtful about your past, about your day, and where were the places where you wish you could have had a different response, or where you had a negative thought. Sometimes just looking at your thoughts is enough. It doesn't always solve every problem with your thoughts, but occasionally, if you just go, that's interesting. Why did I respond that way? Why did I think that? What
Yeah,
was my
because once you bring something to your awareness, you can't really forget about it. That's the thing, right? Like once it comes to your awareness, you got it, you spot it, you can do something about it. You can't really go backwards. So awareness, what you're saying, what I'm hearing is awareness is key.
Yeah. What about you? What was key for you?
I mean, I love the flywheel. I think this activity, it's interesting because I've been listening to a lot of positive mindset teachers for a long time, and it makes me think about Abraham Hicks, and it makes me think about that conversation she wrote in Ask and It Is Given about the flywheel. It's very similar. However, it asks a few more detailed questions and asks you to complete an activity, which I think is going to be very beneficial to people, especially when you're just starting this work, to kind of start to focus on shifting your mindset, because it's really hard to identify thoughts if you're not meditating or like doing the daily activities, which is another good one, to think about how do you really find out what's not working in your life, right? Because we really create and manifest what we tolerate. I was listening to a teacher about that recently, and I was having this conversation with somebody yesterday about that, and he was like, oh my God, I'm manifesting what I'm tolerating. I have really got to examine my thoughts and see what's going on, because he goes, well, I didn't even think about it like that. I said, no, because we don't, because we're not aware. So that flywheel question, those two questions in that flywheel, I think it's really helpful. I think it's going to help people that are starting the work. I also think if you've been doing this work a long time, like me, you can use that flywheel on multiple things in your life. Literally, I was using it yesterday on myself. I'd had a situation this weekend with a family member, and I was like, okay, hold on a second. I've got the tools. Let me pull the flywheel out and apply it to this situation. And it's not working. So it's a situation that's not working in my life. And then second of all, what are my beliefs around this situation? I literally journaled it out, and I was able to get some real insights that were allowing me to shift and see it from a different perspective, which is really important, because when we walk around frustrated or we're reacting, it's not good for our health. It's not good for anything.
For sure. Yeah, that flywheel, I mean, you all are not ready for this flywheel. It really is the most impactful exercise I've ever done in my life. Because I've come from a history of negativity, I have to always be working hard to make sure that there isn't anything else down in there. I call it the primordial ooze, that part deep in your soul, in your heart, in your spirit, really it's in your thoughts, that continually program your behavior, your reactions, your lifestyle, your success, your attitude, all of that comes from the programming that's so deep inside of us. And so I really thought I was doing great till I did that flywheel exercise because the flywheel starts, and I'm not going to give it away, but it starts by asking you a question about your life that once you answer it, takes you so deep into your own psyche that thankfully we're there with you to pull you out.
Yeah.
We
100%.
guide you step by step to pull you out because you got to get there. Like we have to go deeper. There are things that have been done and said in our childhood, in our early teen years, or even in early adulthood that have shaped something in our mind that we don't want anymore. We don't want it anymore. And there is a way to sort of, dig it up and get it out. And then once it's out, it's exposed to the light. And that's what I believe so very much in, is bringing things into the light, because the light, exposes, it cleanses, it purifies, gives you a place to start.
Yeah. It
On
just
working
feels,
on that, on the shift.
yeah, it feels better being lighter, right? It just
That's
does.
right.
So yeah, I'm super excited. It really is like a part two, though. I was just going to go back to what you said earlier. It literally is like Incurable Positivity Part 2, because it's over 200 pages of amazing activities.
It's bigger, right? It's bigger than the first book.
It is. And it's got like these great like notes in it from you. Like I love that it's got like these pages with your face and like, this is a note from Angie, right? That's so practical, because I feel like sometimes I'm up here and like you just ground me into like a real practical activity. I think that's what's great about it, this balance of both of us in it.
Yeah.
So I'm really excited about that. And there's a podcast that came out today as well. I shared it on my feed. And if you haven't listened to that podcast with Katrina, we go into Incurable Positivity and we really talk about choosing the thoughts from the 3 R's. We did some exercises around 3 R's and just scripting, like how to not be enrolled in negative conversations and how to stay clear from them, but also how to not go deep into negative conversations and how to shift the conversation. That's one thing that a lot of people struggle with, Angie. Like they just literally struggle on, oh, I'm in a negative work environment, or I'm in a, negative relationship, and I just don't know how to. I can hear it, I can see it now, because I'm starting to do this work. I'm starting to attune my ears to those negative conversations. But how do I not get enrolled and pull myself out of them so that I'm not part of it without sounding rude or disrespectful or unempathetic, right? That's a conversation that people always ask us about on the book club. So I'm really excited about how we went deep on that in this workbook. Can you talk about that?
Yeah, for sure. Because I think that we live on autopilot. We're receiving constant stimuli that's the same, right? We work around the same people. We live with the same people. We drive to work the same way. Everything about us is the same. And so our stimuli is always the same. So our responses are the same, right?
Yeah.
And our thoughts are typically the same. As you just said, I hate my job. I hate my boss. I hate my work. I hate my customers. I mean, I have a young lady here that I was having lunch with today who has told me how much she hates her job every time I have seen her. And we have been friends or colleagues for 2 years.
Wow.
And it's so easy to get lost in the constant cycle of sameness. And so what Incurable Positivity says is that you aren't your environment. Your environment happens around you, but the way you respond and react to your environment makes a huge difference in your own internal happiness and well-being. But we go a step further and we say, you impact the environment. That's always my goal. My goal is when I show up, I want people to breathe a sigh of relief. Okay, Angie's here. Whatever happens, we're going to figure it out. She's going to have a positive attitude. She's going to have a great spin, a great idea, some source of knowledge or wisdom or something. I want to impact the environments I walk into, not be impacted by. And so that's sort of the next step that we would hope people would get to, where you aren't being enrolled in negative conversations easily. And ultimately people learn that you're not the person to bring the gossip to. You're not the person to dump on, right? Now they know if you come to me, it's because you want solutions, and I'm going to help you work through and find solutions. But I'm not just like a vomitorium where you just come and spit it all on me and then, walk away. So we want the world to be a better place because of us. And that's really what I think Incurable Positivity is all about.
Yeah. And that's a good example that you just shared about your colleague and peer saying that she hates a job and she hates a job and she's been saying it for 2 years and she's probably still in the same job, right?
Still in the same job.
Right. People used to call me all the time, like when I would leave companies and they'd be like, oh, I hate it now. You're not here. It's horrible. And they would just want to call me and say that. And I appreciate it because, being a leader, I appreciate that people appreciate my leadership. However, I would literally say, if you keep saying this, you're going to end up in the same situation in a year and you're going to end up with the same, a boss that you don't like, probably because you're actually saying it out loud. So I would literally coach them and say, okay, what can you do instead? You can start saying, I'm choosing to believe that I'm a person that finds a job that I love. I'm choosing to believe that the job I love is just around the corner and they're going to come and find me and give it to me. Or, this is what I love about my job. Like, start speaking into reality, positive thoughts, positive words, positive thinking, because otherwise, guess what's going to happen? You just end up in the same loop. And you just, in this unconscious loop, which is the name of the podcast I was on today, is literally just stuck in this loop and it just keeps going. And it sounds really easy, but it's really hard for people to do because you have to interrupt that thought pattern. One of the things I coached somebody on a while ago was literally like, just write down everything that you want in your dream job. Like, write down the kind of boss that you want, write down the kind of environment. Do you want to work remotely? Do you want to, be able to work in a team of people? Write down, stick it on your wall, and maybe write the top 5 companies that you want to work for. I don't know. But just write down the environment, be specific. And literally within 4 weeks, she was recruited to one of her dream jobs.
Wow.
So yeah, it works. This is the thing. So, what do you do though with somebody? And maybe I'm throwing this out there because we're live and we haven't talked about this, but what did you do then to help shift her? Because shift is such an important word. Shift, realign. It's kind of like you're just shifting slightly, right? Like, what did you do to help shift her? Is there anything you can share that would help?
Yeah, I mean, sadly, there were 4 people at the table, and it hit me sort of today in a way it hasn't in the past. Usually it's just she and I, because she's sort of taking over a job that I used to do, a volunteer job that I used to do, helping authors grow their portfolios. So I really couldn't address it at that moment, but out of my awareness of her negativity was heightened in that moment. Right. And I wish that it had been just she and I. And she was the first to leave the table because she had to go where? Back to work. She only had an hour lunch. So, but I will say this. I think that whenever you encounter someone where it's difficult to challenge them on their negativity, I think you can help people by exposing them to the things you were exposed to. Yeah. So like handing someone a book is a great way to change their life. I got a call from a woman in South Carolina 2 days ago, and she said, I just want to tell you that I gave Incurable Positivity to my coworker, and my coworker was like, why are you giving this to me? You think I'm a negative person? And she said, no, it was a book that was written by a friend of mine, and I really thought you would enjoy it. So she was like, well, fine. And she sort of stormed off. Well, she started reading the book that same day and came into work just glowing about Incurable Positivity. She's like, I get it now. I understand. I have the power. I have the control. Everyone else in the office turned to my friend and said, well, you didn't give us a book. So,
I love it.
So sometimes there's certain people, if it's your mom or if it's, a leader or someone, it can be a little more challenging to confront them in the moment. Mm-hmm. And perhaps it's better to just say, hey, here's something that might help you. But now, personally, I'm going to have a conversation with her in addition to giving her the book and the workbook because she's a supporter of my work and I think she'll receive it. But that's not always the case for everybody.
Yeah. It's really difficult. I know. And just sharing things that can help people, things that you've learned along the way, whether that be a blog post, a book, a video. I think that's the power of the pause, right? And there's that is in the book, the power of the pause. It's literally like, okay, pause before you react to somebody and think about if you were receiving it. And I had this experience this weekend, another example of that. And I was like, okay, hold on a second. They are right. Okay, what can I do to support? Can I give them something that can actually support them right now? Build a skill, practice something differently, react differently, something that's helped me personally, right? I love that idea. I think there's many times we can do that, but we just don't because we're so afraid of conflict.
Right.
Conflict. We're so afraid of conflict. We just avoid it at all cost. Conflict and dealing with that is a real skill. Yeah,
But what can be better than affecting someone's life? I mean, we're afraid of the negative. That's our own negative programming.
right.
Share this with you, or I tell you about this, you're going to be angry, you're going to be offended. But perhaps it's the exact opposite that will happen, that
Yeah.
someone would be grateful. That no one's happy negative. I know I was a negative person. You're not happy. No, all the good things were happening to me, making great money, great kids, great life, and I still wasn't enjoying a moment of it. So people do want to be positive. They just need to be shown the way.
You need to be shown the way, yeah. And to do that, you have to become aware of the thoughts, the beliefs that are derailing you. And to do that, you need to do the flywheel activity. That's it.
You gotta do that flywheel. It's amazing.
I can't wait to, like, I'm moving again. But I'm moving back to where I started 24 years ago. It's kind of odd. Back to South Beach, back to South Florida. And I can't wait to have, and I'm so excited because I, went to see the space this week. And I saw this wall and I was like, oh, I can have a nice big glass whiteboard on the wall. I can have my flywheel. I can just be like erasing it every day and using it every day and just practicing it every day. Because it really is a practice, Angie. It's not a one and done. It's just not. I think anybody that's telling you that there's the answers to, changing your life overnight is not really being honest with you, because we've got so many layers to us, right, as human beings, and you got to work through those layers, and you got to get deep, and you've got to go into the practices, and you've got to commit to the practices. And I say, positivity is a practice, it's a skill, and you've got to have these positivity practices in your life every day, so that you can really condition your mind to choose the right thoughts, and then you'll be in a much better space every day.
Yep, I agree 1,000%, 1,000%. And I always encourage people, give us some feedback. We want to hear what your experiences have been. We're everywhere now. you can't miss us.
Yeah.
We're on all social media under Incurable Positivity. We're on LinkedIn. We're everywhere. And the podcast is blowing my mind. It really, really is. I listen to that podcast and I think, well, I wish I knew those girls. Oh, wait a minute. I do. It's so good. It's so good because it gives us the opportunity to take you one step deeper, one level deeper, into the understanding. And we get feedback from people in the book club and all around. So if you want to be part of the community, definitely www.incurablepositivity.com is the place to start, in my opinion. That sort of takes you everywhere we are, and you can pick what's best for you.
Yeah, I love it. So it will be going live on Amazon in the next 24 hours. We're doing giveaways this week. If you're interested in learning more, head to the website. It's on the bottom of the ticker, and we're doing giveaways. So, if you want to get in this incurable positivity and up level that positive practice in your life, and maybe win a journal, maybe win a little pouch, join us and tag somebody, and you're just going to get sick of seeing us this week, I think, because we're just so excited. We just want to share it.
We're so excited, right? What do you want us to do? What do you expect? We are.
Yeah, exactly. But, I'm super grateful for you, Angie. Really, it's such a joy writing books with you. And anybody that's interested in writing books, I know that you're changing your business and you're like launching One Price Edit. You can learn more about that, onepriceedit.com. And I think that that's just an unbelievable positive shift that you're making in your industry, and reshaping the way that people like myself, or even people that are new to writing a book, or people that have got 10 books, can really get access and support to be a great author. Because I think everybody I know wants to write a book these days. Is like 10, 15 years ago, right? It's just so much easier to have access, but it's still, you need a good editor, you need a fair price. I'm always the person that's like, God, can we just make it accessible for as many people as possible? And, sometimes people might make comments on that. Well, is it really valuable? No, yeah, it is. I just think things should be available to people at a price where they can afford it. And I think that's what I love about One Price Edit. It's so positive what you're doing.
Yeah, well, that's the beauty of the positive effect. It's a ripple effect. So when you have incurable positivity, it impacts everyone around you. It impacts your own thinking, and it starts to touch your business. It touches your family. There's no, it's incurable. It's incurable. It's infectious. We could have called it infectious positivity,
Yeah.
because I mean, look at my life. I'm on my way. I'm chasing April. I'm on my way down to Florida in 6 weeks, and starting a new company, and life is grand, life is great, and I'm in a place now in my thoughts where I can really truly enjoy life,
Mm.
have the bliss, have the joy, have the peace of mind, that I never knew. I can't say I ever knew in any part of my adult life prior to really coming in contact with April Sobral. So that's the power of incurable positivity. It's infectious.
It is. All right, with that, we'll wrap up. Enjoy the rest of your holiday. For everybody watching this, finding it, go check out incurablepositivity.com. The workbook journal is dropping this week, and you can find more information there. And just enjoy the rest of the holiday, whatever you're doing. I hope you're spending it in a positive way with people that make you feel good,
Yes.
and just enjoying the rest of the day. I know I will.
Yes.
Awesome. All right. I'll see you soon, OG.
Bye.
Bye.